Hey, welcome back to Partners Live. We are here on the show floor at reInvent. We're here to share the news of reInvent with our partners and amazing Amazonians. So I'm your host, Anne-Marie Woodburn. I'm a Senior Partner Development Specialist at AWS focused on security and a co-host for Partners Live. And I'm here with Carmen Puccio, my co-host for the day. Carmen?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name's Carmen Puccio, as Anne-Marie said. Senior Manager of Solutions Architecture here in the partner organization. For a while, Anne-Marie and I were together in the security space, and now I run a specialist team of industry-focused solutions architects. So super excited to be here today.
Yeah, we love it. We've got an amazing special guest with us today, Brian.
Thanks for having me. Really excited to be here. So Brian Bohan, I lead what we call our Consulting Partner Center of Excellence. So we look after 30-some-odd global strategic partners and then really looking for the best practices that can help us raise the bar for all of our partners and our customers.
That's awesome. Well, we're excited to have you here, Brian. Carmen and I were just kicking things off talking about the keynote. Is there anything in particular that maybe stood out to you that you want to chat about?
Well, the obvious thing, seeing Andy back up on the big stage was noteworthy. I think there were a couple themes that stood out for me that I think are also really relevant to what we're seeing with our partners. And the first, actually, Andy said it, and he mentioned this term, practical AI. And so why is that so relevant? So what we've seen over the last 18 months, and this is true with our partners, a lot of POCs, a lot of pilots, but now really seeing as we move into industry, as our partners build platforms on Bedrock, we're moving into enterprise scale, real value applications of Gen AI. And then the other thing that Matt said, which is sort of dovetails with that, is that I think we're going to stop talking about standalone Gen AI applications and just start talking about applications, process transformation, business transformation powered by Gen AI. And so again, themes that we're seeing with our partners as well.
Yeah, Andy made a comment, and to paraphrase, we're not just doing it for fun.
Right.
We're doing it. It was fantastic to hear that, to talk about the business transformation that comes along with it. So well said, well said. It was awesome to see him, though.
No doubt.
Cool. So you and I have chatted before, Brian, about some of the things that you think about in terms of the partner journey. And then if you think about some of the releases and the services that were announced today, there's often pillars, right? And when I think about the pillars, I think about the layers of the AWS stack, whether it's down at the compute layer, whether it's the data and storage layer, whether it's the application layer. And partners can kind of fit in any one of those layers. So when you think about the pillars and the value that partners bring to the table, maybe you can give your perception on how you see that coming together, especially in light of some of the announcements that you saw today.
Absolutely. And so when I think about what our partners are doing around generative AI, I think I kind of group it into two big categories that interlock. So first of all, our partners bring deep expertise in industry. So they've been doing industry for decades. They deeply understand the challenges, the opportunities, where the value is. And then the second piece is that partners allow us to deliver value at scale for our customers. So if you take the first piece, and a great example of this is I was talking to PwC this morning, and they're doing a lot with Amazon Bedrock and Gen AI with AWS, focused on industry. And then also today, related to one of the announcements, going deep with automated reasoning. And the reason is, again, keeping with this theme for practical AI, as we're moving from POCs and pilots into true scale and value, you have to tie it to a real business problem. That's where the industry expertise comes in. And then you have to do it with safeguards and guardrails in place, so it's responsible. And that's where the automated reasoning piece comes in. So PwC is really helping us lead the way there. The other thing on the delivering value at scale, this was good. I was watching and getting really excited, and I think I heard you say it as well, Carmen, is some of the Q announcements, right? So we talk about Q transform. So we think about legacy modernization all the time, whether it be mainframe, VMware, .NET applications. Our partners, our consulting partners, are right in the mix, helping customers move through this. And there's always been this, do we lift and shift, then modernize, or modernize as we lift and shift? And there's always trade-offs. And this is also something Matt talked about, this tyranny of or, right? And how do you get to and? And I think now with Q and with Gen AI, we're able to do the and. You can migrate and modernize and make the timelines in the business case work, because you can use Q Transform now around those sticky workloads with VMware and .NET and even mainframe. Right? So it changes the calculus around this, and this is what we're seeing with our partners as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think about, and again, it dovetails nicely into programs like we have, like Migration Acceleration Program, where we've always been very prescriptive about the journey. Walk into the data center, customer, talk to the engineers, talk to the various different teams, understand the portfolio. But then once you start to get inside of the environment and start to migrate those actual workloads, there can be a long journey there. And now you have this process acceleration. And for partners, that's an amazing, amazing tool inside of their toolkit. Thinking about how they can basically look at a workload, quickly introspect it, and use a tool like Transform to basically take legacy .NET workloads and move them over to the latest version so they can run on top of Linux and obviously get cost performance for their customers, which is an amazing outcome.
Absolutely, and I think what I'm excited to see is, it's always great to come back from reInvent and then you start meeting with your partners and customers and seeing how all the new announcements make their way into what they're already doing. And so the other big like theme and trend around this bigger one around delivering value at scale is our partners for the last year have been building Gen AI platforms and applications using Bedrock. So you see this with Accenture with GenWizard. You see it with Infosys and their Cobalt platform. And so and these platforms are all around, they do multiple things, but one of the big ones is around legacy transformation. And now we're going to see Q get integrated into these platforms to make them even more powerful, right? And these platforms, again, take a lot of the guesswork out of it for customers by providing an end-to-end capability.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's great. And maybe, do you have any advice for our customers, like hearing these announcements, hearing what our partners are doing, and maybe how to get started with with Q, with Gen AI?
Yeah, absolutely. And what we've seen is obviously with our consulting partners, with the rise of Gen AI, it's been a really busy year. With any new technology, we saw this in the beginning of cloud as well, where our consulting partners really lean in, bring that expertise and that advice. And like anything else, I think, as we say at AWS and Amazon, think big, right? Like, what are the big problems you can solve? But then you can also start small. So thin slice a challenge that you're seeing and go after it. If there's VMware estate that you want to go after, mainframe, how do you carve out manageable sizes? Work with the right partner to get started and show value to prove that what you're doing is working. And then once you have a pattern that you like, it's much easier then to scale it much more broadly with that partner.
I love that advice. Like, start small, grow bigger from there, right? Pick the right partners that fit for you, right? That's great. That's great advice.
Cool. Curious if you saw some of Peter's keynote yesterday.
I did not see Peter's.
So maybe you can give perspective, though, if I abstract out. So they talked a lot last night about the compute layer, and they were talking about the advancements in our own custom silicon. They were talking about the cost savings and the performance gains that customers can achieve, and that there was a statement in there, or a stat in there around Graviton and the advancement of Graviton. And now inside of our data centers, it's up to 50% now of the new instances that go in are Graviton-based. And if you think about that from a partner perspective, think about all the implications. How am I going to basically build cost-effective applications for the customer? Graviton gives you that price performance. Sustainability comes in. And I'm curious about some of the conversations you've had with some of our larger consulting partners, how that type of chipset now enables different outcomes for customers, especially when they're thinking about sustainable workloads.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one little bit of backdrop there. Frequently with some of our bigger consulting partners, they're our partners, but they're also our customers. Yep. And we work with them very closely. So let me just take Accenture as an example. We worked with their CIO to launch what they're calling Project Green Juice. And it was driven really by ESG and sustainability. It wasn't even a cost savings exercise. It was we need to lower our carbon footprint. Yep. So there was a conscious effort to move to Graviton wherever possible. And they did that. And they took out, one, they did save a lot of money, and they really lowered their carbon footprint. And then what Accenture's pattern is, and we see this with other partners as well, if you really nail that internally and prove it, now we've got a capability that you can then push into your client-facing practice areas, and now they're executing that playbook with clients as well. And I love the fact that you bring up the compute layer, and I know Matt started there today, right? And it's so we could. I love talking about industry. I love talking about business transformation. But again, I think this is keeping with. We're now ready for enterprise scale Gen AI and transformation, right? Because that is price performance, that is security, it is guardrails. It is being able to have this selection of the chipset underneath and pick the right chips for the right workloads. So all of this needs to be in place if you're really going to move from those pilots into production. And I get super excited. I'm not a technical guy, but I even get excited when we start talking about that low-level capability and the ability, even like the database stuff Matt was talking about today around Aurora, and being able to achieve consistency, reliability, scale, low latency, all at the same time. It just enables so many different kinds of applications that you never could do before. And again, this is where I love going back with our partners and seeing what can they invent on top of that now that that's possible.
Yeah, for sure. The story today around the Aurora and the Dynamo, the ability to basically replicate globally, right? So if you're thinking about not just reliability of your workloads in a single availability zone, you have a lot of these partners that are now working multi-region. And I'm sure you see this all the time. And here we are making it easier for them. So tremendous, tremendous stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, for some of our bigger partners, not only are they serving clients on the client sites, but they do build large, what they call business process as a service capabilities that could be run in India, the Philippines, but serving clients in Europe and the United States. So again, this ability, and frequently it's a combination of integrating their own backplane with the customers. So being able to do this across regions becomes really powerful.
Yep. Cool.
That is awesome. Well, are there any other things that we should be aware of from the partners this week that everybody in the audience should be listening in for as kind of the week builds?
Yeah, there's a ton, obviously. I forget the exact number of partner attendees we've got here this year, but it's just fantastic. I think, one thing that I'm really excited about as well, we talk about industry quite a bit. And if you think about industry, really the next evolution is being relevant for the personas in the line of business, right? And so whether that's your chief product officer, your head of R&D in a pharmaceutical company, or your CFO. And so how do we deliver new value to those really important personas who are increasingly influential in technology buying decisions? And so what we're going to see from Deloitte, and we've already seen this, we had an announcement back in the summer where we've stood up an innovation lab with Deloitte all around Gen AI, and it's very industry focused and it's persona focused. So they've got AI for C-suite. And so they've, because of their deep expertise, being also an advisory and a tax audit firm, deeply understand the CFO end-to-end workflow. So they've developed a set of Gen AI applications and agents that really span across that workflow. And we're seeing that now come out with, for instance, Volkswagen in Latin America with Deloitte, and how they rethink about their end-to-end financial processes across the business. And so I think we're going to see more of that. And we're also seeing it with partners like Publicis Sapient, or they're applying Gen AI to the CMO end-to-end workflow. So that gets me really excited because, again, it's moving from general Gen AI projects to, all right, you're a persona with real business opportunities, real business challenges. How are we going to solve for those? And then apply whatever technologies we need, including Gen AI, to make that happen. And so, again, partners like PwC and Deloitte and Accenture, TCS, a great example at United Airlines, where they've helped, if you're stuck in a travel jam, now using Gen AI to have more intuitive ways to figure out what your next best option is. So again, seeing these partners take very industry-focused applications and drive real value.
Yeah,
Awesome.
That's amazing. I'm shocked if nobody's really starting to adopt generative AI, right? Like every partner conversation, every main stage probably here. I think we used to have a swear jar for how many times somebody would say that word. And I think there's just not enough money in the world. So that's really cool to see it integrated everywhere and see how people are adopting it. There's unique ways that people are looking at it, but it's at every layer, like you said.
It is. And I think we should all, again, if you're in the partner world as we are, should be really excited. Just, I thought, how partner-centric the keynote was. If you think about even some of the examples around Sierra, PagerDuty, Adobe was mentioned, Databricks was really featured. So it wasn't, and obviously fantastic to see JP Morgan Chase on stage, cool. Right? Talk about scale, right? Just how impressive that is. But a lot of the examples were about companies adopting and using AWS technology for the benefit of their downstream customers. And so I thought that was really cool. And it's a great example, like you said. They're adopting the technology, putting their own capabilities on top of it, and it becoming a real 1 + 1 = 3 for their end customers. So I love seeing that.
Yeah, it was awesome. Well, we are getting close on time. Brian, any closing remarks?
It's only Tuesday, and we've got 3 more days to go, and it feels like already so much information, really excited. I can't wait to meet with the dozens of partners I'm going to be meeting with over the next few days to talk about everything we just talked about here.
I love it. Well,
Thanks
that's
for
awesome.
having me.
Yeah, well, thank you, everybody tuning in from home. Hopefully you'll be at reInvent with us next year. Stay tuned. We're kicking off with Gen AI Live for the first time, talking about all things generative AI. So thanks, and see y'all soon.
So, folks.